This segment is brought to you by Hollis, Wright & Clay, PC. As the kids and grandkids head back to school, traffic swells. That could lead to more incidents and traffic accidents on the roadways. Attorney Carter Clay has a few tips to keep in mind before we have drivers behind the wheel, maybe even new drivers. Carter, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good to see you. I feel like the timing for this segment is on point with all the kids going back to school.
I noticed a traffic difference today,
Yeah.
and it took me a minute to be like, oh yeah, Jefferson County going back to school, Shelby County is going back tomorrow, and it makes a huge difference. You have more traffic on the road and sometimes new drivers on the road.
Yeah, absolutely, in a very condensed area. And so one of the things that we see in our practice is an increase in motor vehicle accidents in the carpool lines and in the surrounding streets around the schools. Very important that people understand the rules of engagement and kind of what they're supposed to do. But unfortunately, we see crossing guards. You've got these coaches and teachers that are out there directing traffic before school and even after school. Thankfully, they're wearing those bright orange or highlighted vests to kind of make them more conspicuous. But unfortunately, we see those individuals get hit. We see students that are riding their bikes, crossing through crosswalks, maybe even not crossing through the actual crosswalk that they're supposed to go through, that are getting hit. So those are some of the things that we see an increase of during this time of year.
How can we prevent some of those incidents from happening?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's very important for the parents and the educators to understand the rules of engagement while they're in those carpool lines or in those surrounding areas. It's very important for the schools to get that information out to the parents. It's also important for those parents to educate their children on what they're supposed to do in the carpool line when they're getting out, when they're getting back in, where to go, how to position themselves in the carpool lines, etc. And to make sure that they're obeying the rules of the road. Stay off those cell phones. Don't get on those cell phones at all when you're in the carpool lines and those types of things. And I think it's also important for the grandparents, the family members and friends to understand those rules, because we have high school students that oftentimes will go and pick a younger brother or younger sister up, and they need to know those rules as well, because if they don't, that's when accidents can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. People who are behind the wheel for the first time, maybe on their own or not. Maybe this is your 50th year on the road by yourself. You still need to pay attention and be able to know what's going on. Tell me a little bit about bus-related incidents.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen some tragic situations on bus-related incidents where little kids are getting on the bus or off the bus to go home. They're excited, maybe about their first day of school. Maybe they're excited to get back home from school. They get off the bus, they don't look both ways, they cross the street or they dart out and they get hit. And we obviously don't want that to happen. We've seen individuals or kids get killed or tragically injured in those types of situations. So again, it's important for those children to understand the rules, the parents to understand the rules, and to talk to their children about what they're supposed to do when getting on the bus, getting off the bus, and crossing the street. And it's also important for people in the general public to understand that when those stop bars come out from the side of the school bus, whether you're coming towards the school bus or you're behind the school bus, everybody is supposed to stop, because there's going to likely be a child getting off that bus and they could be crossing over the street, and that's a way to avoid an accident.
Absolutely. It can be inconvenient to be behind a bus that's stopping, but our community's children's safety is paramount to our inconvenience. We want to make sure we're prioritizing their safety. What about other issues off the road that we can encounter this time of year?
Well, heat-related or heat strokes for the athletes. Obviously, high school football is back in play. They're practicing, about to start some games. So you see heat strokes and heat-related incidents associated with those practices. I think the high schools and coaches have gotten a lot better over the prior years about making sure the players are hydrated, taking water breaks. Of course, as you know, during the high school games, they've got those mandatory water breaks or timeouts that they take. All of that is a great idea, but that's something to look out for. And then we also see playground accidents with small children on the playground. Perhaps their new playground equipment that come in during the summer, the whole playground may get rebuilt over the summer. These kids come in, they're unfamiliar with it. Very important that the children understand how to interact with this equipment. Falls from heights, those are things that are critically important for people to look out for. And the designers and the contractors who are putting in the equipment need to kind of do a risk assessment and gauge whether or not that type of equipment is appropriate for kids that age, and things that you can do to minimize injuries.
Absolutely. And making sure that your child or grandchild knows how to hold on tight, knows how to do all these things, and how to keep themselves safe too, and really practicing those things.
Yeah, you'll see broken arms and head injuries with kids tripping on the playgrounds and things of that nature. And it's very important that the teachers pay attention to it and supervise those children appropriately and make sure they know how to work the equipment and play on the playground, but also make sure that they're not running, that they're walking and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Good things to keep in mind just to make sure everybody has a good start to the school year and continuing on through fall. Carter, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, coming up on